Hey guys, welcome to the next tutorial. So we're going to continue where we left off on classes. So as you can see here, I have the person class that we made in the last video. And what I'm going to go over is class methods. So what we've done here is we have a class called person, and we gave it a bunch of attributes or properties. We gave everyone a name, and an age, and a weight. And this is all done within the constructor function. But you can actually add other, or it's actually called a constructor method. But you'll hear people use those words interchangeably, method and function. The rule is if it's part of a class, it's called a method, and if it's outside of a class, it's called a function. But you can kind of think think of them as the same thing. But you can actually give a class multiple methods instead of just this constructor method up here. So you can think in terms of a person, what can a person do? So a person can speak. So we'll make a method called speak, and you would do this just like we made functions in the previous tutorial. It's def for define a function or a method. So def define, we're going to call it speak, and we're going to make it take a message. So when we run this function, it'll be like the person is saying something. And what we want it to do is just print something to the screen. And the way I want to set this up, I'm going to make it a format string like we learned before. And I'm actually going to make it put the person's name. So we can put self.name. That way when we run this and they're speaking, it'll actually put who is speaking. It puts their own individual name. So it'll say their name, and then what it does, it'll say the message that you passed in. So that should be all we need for that. So down here we've made a person called Jody, just like from the last video. Jody's a person with the name Jody, age 30, weight 160. And then we'll do something like Jody.speak. And because Jody is a person object, he has access to this speak method that we said a person can do. And it requires a message. So what is he gonna say? He'll say, "Hello everyone. How are you today?" So let's go ahead and run this. Oh, I got an error message. So it says yep, this is a big one. So again, anytime you give a method to a class, like we're defining this method right here called speak, if it's part of a class, you always have to put the word self as the first parameter. And I'll kind of explain what that is now, even though I'm probably going to go into it in more depth in a future video. Just think of self as the object itself is getting passed in there. So if Jody runs the speak method, the Jody object is getting thrown into this self parameter, and it's saying, hey, run Jody's name. That way it knows exactly which one to run. So if I made an object called Johnny, like we made in the last video, Johnny would get thrown in here, and then when I call self.name, it would know how to access Johnny's individual name variable. And that's why you have to throw in self. So that's why I got the error message, because it says it takes a positional argument, or speak takes one positional argument, but two were given. It's because I only had one parameter up here, but I threw in this argument as well as it automatically in the background kind of throws in Jody as a secondary argument, even though you don't see it. If that makes sense. I'll go in more detail about self later, because I know it's kind of a confusing thing, but we'll look at that later. But that's why I got that error message. So we'll put self there, and that now we'll run it, and it should work. So if you look at the code the way I typed it, it's going to do a format string, and it's going to put my name with a colon after it, which it did, and then a space, and then the message variable that gets passed in. So it's like, what do you want Jody to say? So Jody says, "Hello everyone, how are you today?" And now we'll make the other person, we'll make Johnny like we did last time. And he's 40 and we'll put the quotations there. And then we can make Johnny also speak and throw his message in there. "Hi, how are you?" So now we can run this, What this will do is Jody says, hello everyone, how are you today? And Johnny says, hi, how are you? And let's make something else. Let's make another function. You can give it as many as you want, and more than likely when you actually make your own classes, you'll probably have classes that have 20, they can have 20, 30 methods easily. So let's make one called eat. And what it does, remember we have to put self in there. And then we'll make it another format string and put self.name to show who is eating. Eats a, and then we'll say it eats a, and then prints out whatever type of food you passed in. So it'll look like that. So when we run the eat method, it requires a food, which will just be a string. We'll pass a string in here and it'll print this person eats a food. And what we can also do after they eat the food, because when you eat, you typically gain weight, we'll do self.weight plus equals 1. So they gain a pound every time they eat something. So let's do this. Let's do Jody.eat, and we'll make him eat an apple. And then we'll do this as well. What we'll do before I eat the apple, we'll print Jody.weight, and then we'll eat the apple, and then right after we eat the apple, we'll print the weight again to see if the weight went up. So the last 3 lines of code, I should be 160 pounds. Jody eats an apple, because that's what we put. We put the eat method in there, and we passed in the word apple, so it prints out Jody eats an apple, and then we print weight after that, and I've gained a pound. So that's kind of how you can do methods. So I'll go, I think what I'm going to do in the next video, I'll show you how we can make multiple classes. Like we'll actually make a food class, and we can make multiple different types of food, and certain food can make your weight go up more or less than other types of food, and we'll show how you can like use multiple classes and kind of make them work together. But I'll do that in the next video. Have a good one.